Do you put women on the pedestal? Have you ever said, "You're too good for me. I don't deserve you. You can do better. You'll find someone much better than me"? Well, you're probably putting her on a pedestal. Welcome to the Nice Guy Show. I'm your host, Faisal Khokhar, and I'm joined with Ari Graff. And today we're going to be talking about putting women off the pedestal and the real truth about what's really going on here. So, Ari, have you ever put a woman on a pedestal?
Way too many times. I'm still guilty of it sometimes. Even it's like it's instinctual almost. I've gotten much better at
Yeah.
gently taking women off the pedestal. We don't knock them off the pedestal. We we just lead them off the pedestal.
Okay, so what does it mean? I mean, like most guys were thinking, what do you mean by putting her on a pedestal? Because when I first heard that term, I wasn't quite clear about putting them on the pedestal. So how did you put women up there? And what was your reason for it?
Well, it really means you're idealizing them. You're imbuing them with special special traits like their beauty means
Hmm.
they're superior to you, or their intellect, even, or their emotional intelligence. That's a way that I've put women on a pedestal. I mean, what are some of the ways that you have put women on a pedestal?
Again, the things that uh, every time I put a or have put a beautiful woman on a pedestal, and it's usually because of a initial thing was because of her beauty, and then she would be quite a strong character, well accomplished, done something very successful, or has had some incredible experiences that I've not had. And then I'd be like, wow, this is amazing. And I don't deserve this. And she's too good for me. And what's happened is it usually ends up me being intimidated, by her. And when I'm putting her on a pedestal, I'd be too afraid to talk to her and thinking, oh, what, I'm not good enough to have a conversation with her. She's too good for me. And I did this with my ex-wife as well. I mean, we met, we were young. She was pretty, very attractive, and I used to say this often, especially in my mind, is that she's too good for me. She's going to leave me. She's going to find someone much better than me. And I just kept putting her on a pedestal, and I just saw her as this perfect creature who was feminine, who could do no wrong. And in
Uh-huh.
my eyes was, yeah, have you recognized that one?
Oh, sure. Um, so, question: did you always put her on a pedestal, like from the moment that you started interacting with her, or did that evolve over time?
That was it was straight away. It wasn't the get go. It was from straight away. I just put her on a pedestal, and it was something like, "Wow, I don't deserve someone like this. I've got someone like this, and there is no way I'll be able to hold on to her." These were kind of like the things that were ruminating in the back of my head, which eventually led to a lot of neediness, a lot of insecurities, not feeling enough for her. Um, and I see a lot of guys doing the same thing as well, just putting her on a pedestal. So did you put your ex-wife on the pedestal as well?
I did, um, in some really self-destructive ways. Um, I think that um, I really elevated her intellect and her emotional intelligence over mine. Her whole, well, her narrative of the relationship. So I think those are ways that you can idealize another person that can really hurt you. Does that
So
make
when you
sense?
talked about yeah, so when you talked about like emotional or idolize her intellect, was it because she was able to maybe better communicate, articulate how she's feeling, and you're thinking, well, you just took the words right out of my mouth? Because that's the way sometimes I was thinking, well, I can't express that well or articulate that well or understand what's going on in the relationship or situation. And I was thinking, well, I just felt really inadequate intellectually for not getting things and not understanding it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, she's a very psychological person, and she is insightful. We were both doing psychoanalysis, so we had that in common. Um,
Oh,
but I fell under the myth of that women just understand relationships better or understand emotions better, that they can articulate emotions better, and I was really stuck in that. Um, I think this is a crucial way that men can idealize women and put them on a pedestal.
So when you say, they really understood that fact, does when I used to hear about how insightful she was, I always used to see that as that this is gospel, this is the truth. And what I did was, I don't know if you did this as well, but I see a lot of guys, they don't have their own view or introspection about it because she's put it so well. Hey, this is how it's making me feel. This is how you're showing up. And because of this, this is happening. And I took that as, oh, this is the actual truth. Whereas I didn't really
Yes.
go into the examining. Did you feel that as well?
Yeah, it's crazy that we can make another person the arbiter of the truth. We
Mm.
People do that all the time. Like they just abdicate their own reality to another person. I mean, it might not be your wife or your partner or your girlfriend. It could be someone else in your life, but it's something that we have to call out. And I think nice guys are often guilty of this. Um,
We're way too gullible. We're way too gullible and easily persuaded or easily bent towards other people's reality. This is one of the things I teach is like frame control. We move into other person's reality, to other person's rules of their world, their territory, and say, oh, this is their truth, and we don't have our truth anymore. And I really find that to be a real sticking point in a relationship. But how does she treat you? So you were idolizing her, you put her on a pedestal. How did that make her feel, or did she ever say anything about it?
well, I think on a, on a basic level, she didn't like that about me. I mean, she wasn't going to just say, "Oh no, you're actually right about things." Some of the time, but it was what she didn't like was that I didn't trust myself and that I couldn't stick up for myself and that I didn't value myself enough. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to how you value yourself, and when you idealize another person, you're essentially devaluing yourself, which is it's inherently unattractive. Um,
Oh, ever so much so. So she really hated that about you, and she said, I don't like this." Again, I think that was uh,
no,
similar
women
to,
often won't articulate that. This is one of the tricky things for men, for nice guys, is that women won't come out and just say this. I hate that you do this, that you put me on a pedestal. But
so what
that's
did they say?
see, grow a pair, or have some spine, like, and then you need to read between the lines about what does that actually mean. It means that
Yeah.
you need to listen to yourself, trust yourself, make decisions, even make mistakes. But they need to see that you trust yourself and that you're willing to stand up to them. Or it kills their trust in you. It kills their attraction, kills their sense of
Okay.
safety.
Yeah, absolutely. She's saying, get your shit together, sort yourself out, and start leading. But like you said as well, it was never articulated to me. You idolizing me, you putting me on this pedestal, you see me as this perfect creature. But their communication was very different because they were feeling these emotions of not secure, not safe, and they were communicating that. And to us, we're looking for the logic. So I want to cover some five things, and then I want to find out more experiences from you, like going out in the dating scene as well, what it's been like to put women on a pedestal. But I want to cover like five things why we put women on a pedestal. One is evolutionary, because when hot women meet our needs for reproduction,
Evil?
when she's
It's an evil thing.
evolutionary, that's an evil.
It's a Britishism. Okay.
It's a Briticism, yeah. So we put women on a pedestal because she is incredibly beautiful, and you think, wow, I'm gonna have some amazing kids with this person. And also, she's scarce and she's also desired and wanted by other men. So we instantly put her on a pedestal. Number two is status. Imagine having the most beautiful girl right beside you. You know, she's the prize. She is the achievement of every guy's dream. So as soon as a woman's next to you and you feel like, oh, this is it, I'm gonna get kudos. I'm gonna get a lot of guys saying, hey, mate, well done for that. You got an amazing girlfriend. Everyone's gonna talk about you. So she'll elevate your status, and she'll be admired and desired by a lot of men. So having an attractive woman on your side, and this is what you some of the stuff you touched as well, is inferiority complex. When we feel inferior, when we don't feel good enough, what we'll do is we normally tend to put women up much higher than us. You know, we not just women but just other people. So if you are, especially if you're socially inept, and if you're socially awkward, or not very versed emotionally and socially, then you'll tend to put people with high status right above you. And you become like an ass licker, and you like see them as like, oh my God, the God complex. Another reason is tunnel vision. Because you only see their beauty and you idolize them, and you see that they can do no wrong, you don't see them as a whole person. And I was thinking about this the other day, because you just see their perfect side, and when you just see the perfect side, you just ignore all the dark sides, and you just see this woman as like, oh, she's emotional, she feels everything, everything she says is right and must be true, but you're not seeing her traumas, her challenges. And I did this when I was quite young. I just completely ignored the other side. So you just put her on a pedestal as like she can do no wrong. She's the angel. And the last one is culture. I was listening to music yesterday, and some of the songs they were saying, I can't live without you. You know, life will not be complete. Everything I do is for you. Right? Have you ever heard this music where everything is about this woman?
Yes.
And yeah, and like without you, my world will collapse. So this is kind of like music that we hear. I mean, romantically, emotionally, yeah, we get that. It does feel like we can't do anything without you. But realistically, this is such a toxic message as well. And in Hollywood, a lot of men are shown as bumbling idiots. And even quotes, you know, we have a lot of skewed quotes as well. It says, behind every great man is a woman. So again, we're paralyzing her. We're putting her as like, she is the only person. In order for you to be great, is to have a great woman behind you. But that's not true. We know that. We need to have great people behind us. So, do any of those things resonate to you? And do they, do any of them come up, especially when you're out dating now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, yeah, it's important to try to see a woman in a well-rounded, holistic way, and I think that kind of gives us an idea of what to do when you're starting to date someone too, or even just meeting them, is to really try to find out more about them, test them out, see what makes them tick. Um,
Hmm.
if you notice you're idealizing them, like maybe even look for their flaws, because we all have them. Um, and yeah, even the most beautiful women, they still have to take a shit. They still get diarrhea sometimes. They're not perfect. Um,
So, is that your tool when you go and see a beautiful woman and you're like, I'm afraid to talk to her and approach her? Oh my God, there's that diarrhea girl.
she, she might have just farted.
Yeah, yeah. She's shit hard. Is that the new meaning for it?
I mean, that's one technique. It's not to put women down, but it's just to level the playing field. Because
Yeah.
we're often putting ourselves down. Um, yeah, I think one thing that Dr. Glover talks about is we can make women into a celebrity, like we
Yeah.
turn hot women into celebrities. And it's like I was thinking about some of the women at the gym that I see that I haven't talked to, that I've turned into celebrities. I
Yeah.
realize I'm doing that. Um, and actually going through, when I was preparing for this episode, I was just thinking about, like, yeah, how far back does this go? Um, and another thing in the dating essentials book, he's talking about a lot of this could start in middle school, junior high school, when you're first starting to go through puberty and starting to notice women, girls, and like I remembered back to middle school, like there, there was probably four or five popular girls. They were all blonde. They all had like the perms and what was that thing in the front? Um,
Is it fringe?
Fringed. That might have been the how you called it. Was um, it was some kind of flip. They used to like put a lot of hairspray in. Anyways, um, it was like I'd constructed this pantheon of goddesses
Yeah.
in junior high, and I didn't even realize it. That these women, these girls were untouchable. Um, and I was so shy and timid that I didn't even make eye contact with them. I felt like I couldn't exist in their world. So I know it goes back to the earliest stage of me being interested in
Mm.
the opposite sex. It's funny now I'm like Facebook friends with some of these girls, some of these women, and they're just like normal people. They're married, they're divorced, they have kids, they gain weight, they lose weight. Like they're just normal people. And
Yeah. Sometimes time doesn't do well for them, and you're thinking, why did I put them on a pedestal? Why did I see them as these goddesses? And when you mentioned about celebrities, there's a quote. I think it's Rollo Topasi or something. He said, if you treat them like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan.
yes,
And yeah, and another great quote that came up was, stop looking up to people, start looking into people. And when we start looking into people, then we start to see, like you said, we're going to see their dark side as well. We're going to see the whole side rather than just their perfect idealized side. And like you, I did the same thing in school as well. They were the untouchables, and they were like the girls that everybody wanted, and there was a group of guys that were all popular as well, and I just felt invisible. Like so many other guys, I just felt invisible, unworthy, and I was just on the sidelines like everybody else. A lot of the majority of the guys. And you're thinking, and then it just started to ruminate, and you start to embed beliefs about yourself is there is no way I can have someone like that. I can never ever attract someone so good, so hot, so amazing.
so what was it like for you in like high school and college with dating? Were you putting women on a pedestal then too, or
Yeah, absolutely. And so I didn't really have a dating or a relationship kind of at school or even at college. I was just a very, I was a socially anxious person. I mean, my social anxiety, my nerve fracture, as I call it, was very high. And if I did have female friends, they would just be friends. It wouldn't be anything sexual. I couldn't, you know, pull myself enough to create something more than just friendship. I was too afraid of rejection. I was afraid of saying something and they might not like it. And so I was really afraid of their, you know, turning around and saying, how dare you? Because I saw that with some other guys, and some guys who were really cocky, really strong, and they were like, how dare you touch that? And I took that on. I was like, okay, that can come back to me and sting me. But the guys who were very good with women, they were just like, just take it in their stride, and they wouldn't lose their cool about it, and they'd be just fun, and they just carry on. For them, rejection was no problem, but for me, if that happened to me, terrible.
so how did
So when
you start to break through that?
Oh, that was a long time. I mean, it took some work, and I did that after my marriage. I started to do some work and start to really see myself. I had to re-image myself. Is to see myself as a different person, and a person I want to see. And this is a lot of what a lot of guys do is they have such a distort view of themselves. And this is why we idolize, and I believe we idolize people because we see either them as good or bad, but we never see them as whole. And this is one of the sayings is you don't want to meet your hero, because when you meet your hero, and I have met some of my heroes, and then you see them and they're like, wow, they're an annoying fuck sometimes. They
Can you name
they
names?
no, I can't name names. I'm like, they're they're picking their nose. They're they're grunt and they're messy or they're untidy. And I've met some people who are like, pretty well recognized. And I'm thinking they're disgusting. And after a little while, I'm thinking, why did I just see such a perfect image of them? And the reason it was because I didn't see myself as whole. So you're unable to see yourself, others as whole. So you're not integrated. So how are you going to see the integrated version of the other people?
Excellent point. So, how do we get out of this? What what do we recommend?
So what was some of the stuff that you started to do? I mean, so you've been on dates, and did you find yourself putting them on a pedestal, and what did you do to stop that?
Well, sure. Yeah, even after when I split from my ex-wife, that was such a big wake-up call, and I started to see how much I was idealizing her and her narrative of how things were, and her narrative of who I was, or what I thought her narrative was of who I was. But I was still doing a lot of these nice guy things in my dating, including idealizing women. I think even just my girlfriend from a couple of years ago, I mean, she was the most beautiful woman that I had ever dated, and
Mm.
she looked like Rihanna. So I became kind of obsessed with her. Like I think I felt like like I had gotten lucky, and that um, I needed to maintain her interest in me, maintain her approval of me. Um, One thing that stuck out was like on my birthday, instead of thinking about what I wanted to do for my birthday, I was thinking about what is she gonna like for my birthday, and that's it, it got through to me like, okay, I'm really putting her on a pedestal, and I'm putting my needs to the side. So,
Yeah.
but it was
Did you
like,
buy a gift then? Did you buy a gift for your birthday? Yeah. Here's just a backup gift.
right, I want to make you really happy for my birthday, so I could be
Yeah.
happy. Um, so that was a continual challenge dating her as a beautiful woman. Um,
Mm.
but I was becoming more aware of it. I think it's just been a process of me becoming more aware of how I do this with women, and now I can observe it.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Do you
I,
have any
I
kind of do you have any like self-talk or anything you say to yourself to catch yourself not getting into a loop of idolizing her, putting her on a pedestal, and she's the wow, this is the most amazing person in my life? Because you said
yeah,
something really interesting. You said something really interesting, and I see this. Um, Relatives say this. I've seen this on relationships and TV. You're so lucky to have her. It's such a one way. You're so lucky to have her. It's such a one way narrative. And you're thinking, oh, so I must be lucky, right, and privileged to have someone like her.
right, and it wasn't something that really truly attracted her to me.
Yeah.
It was something kind of, yeah, lucky, more chance, and essentially it's saying she's not fully attracted to my value,
Hmm.
uh, and I think this is part of how you get yourself out of the this dynamic of putting them on a pedestal, is is really focusing on your own value and reminding yourself of your own value. So that could be the self talk that you use. But I am a man of high value, and these are the reasons why. And then you gotta practice things that
Yeah.
remind you that you're high value. It's all
Yeah.
the that masculine discipline that you teach.
Yeah.
It's doing good things for yourself. It's doing loving things for yourself. That we have to always be doing this. It's probably a red flag if you stop doing this and you're focused on what that woman, what you think that woman wants.
Yeah. It's such a great point there. And, you know, backing up on that one as well, I, again, I wanted to, transform myself away from putting women on a pedestal, away from thinking that, she's way out of my league. Some of the things I started to do is one of the things I teach. I teach the three E's. One is entry point, when to enter a relationship, when to exit a relationship, and the third one is the experience. Most men who put women on a pedestal, most men who have dysfunctional relationships lack experience. And what you can do is, the more I started to gain more experience with talking to women, opening conversations, starting conversations, and I had a narrative was changing my narrative, flipping the script from when I was to approach a woman, talk to a woman, instead of thinking, will she like me? I started to think, will I like her?
Yeah,
Is she interesting? Is she somebody of, does she have virtues? Does she have principles? How does she live her life? How does she add value to the world herself? So that's when I became more curious about her. I've dated very attractive, beautiful women, and I still have these two words. And I remember mentioning these two words to you as well. The two amazing words, just to get rid of the excessive energy, is "so what."
I thought you
So
were going to
what?
say
She's hot,
assess,
and
don't impress, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's what one of my favorite saying is: high status people assess, low status people impress. So you just go there, and she's hot. So what? She's amazing. Everybody wants. So what? But she's just so sexy. So what? Yeah, just neutralize your energy. So what? And oh, she has this, and or that person. When we idolize famous people, oh, they have 1 million followers. So what? They've got so much this. So what? It's just to put you in an integrated state so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, appreciate the value that that it's taken them to get to a certain place, but also just don't run away from it. As one of the virtues of stoicism is temperance. Just have a good balance with this as well.
I love that. Yeah, I remember when you so whatted me. You told me, so what? Like,
Yes.
it it's just really valuable for teaching, for getting perspective, I think.
And the simple things are the most effective things, because we're right now, there's so much information out there. When we can't do the basics, then we'll struggle with the complexity. As I say, it's simplification is the ultimate sophistication. We gotta keep it simple, and we gotta just be very mindful of it, have a great balance with this. So let's just wrap this up. Putting women on a pedestal. I kind of shared some of the things there. What would your message be to a lot of guys who are putting women on a pedestal, or anybody else idolizing anybody else?
Yeah, you have to remember your value. Um, you have to practice valuing yourself and loving yourself every day. And if you find yourself putting someone on a pedestal, thinking um, they're the arbiter of reality, they know best on things, or because they're beautiful, they have more worth than you. That's a sign you're putting them on a pitiful. That
Pitiful, pitiful, pitiful.
the pedestal is pitiful. That's what you should remember. That's a red flag. Don't go into the pitiful zone.
Don't go. I like that one. Pitiful. Absolutely. Thank
That
you
is
for that,
pitiful.
Ari.
You're welcome. Okay. The last thing I was going to say is, we're also talking about scarcity and abundance, and so
Yeah.
part of the reason that we put people on a pedestal is, we think we're so lucky to have that person in their life, in our life, just by whatever thing we're idealizing. But the reality is that there's plenty of beautiful women, smart women, women with a good sense of humor, good character traits. There's lots out there, and you have to get out there and meet them and practice and don't settle.
I love that. Actually, that was such a great and such a important point as well, because when when guys go through a divorce or a breakup, they think I'm never gonna find somebody like that again, and they really go into this scarce mode. And she was amazing. I'm not gonna find an amazing character. I remember working with a client, and they split up, and he said, "Oh, she was amazing. There were so many beautiful traits about her." And I was thinking, you do realize she's not the only one who can bring those values, those incredible traits. There are many women out there, incredible women out there, who have these great traits as well. So it's not the only person. So I love that, Ari. Thank you so much. My simple tip is, just remember, flip the script. Rather, instead of saying, "Will will she like me? Will I like her?" And if you see a hot woman, so what? There's so many, as Ari said, there's so many of them around. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This is the Nice Guy Show. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't so, and if there's any topics that you want us to discuss, send a message at theniceguyshow.com, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show, the podcast that helps nice guys move past their insecurities and fears into the fullness of their masculine strength and confidence. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and check out the website niceguyshow.com for more information on how to connect with Chuck and Faisal. Until next time, keep living your best life.